Please watch the entire video before giving it any type of rating, such as a like or dislike. The purposes of this video are meant to share a different perspective on the Johnson Studios controversy that has recently resurfaced a few days ago. It's about time everyone has heard what actually happened, instead of the over-exaggerated versions others have heard through the Google Docs and the Twitter callouts. There will be 2 individual segments or points. Each will be around 5 to 7 minutes long, but could manage to be longer than that, with me explaining the story behind them and what parts were changed to make me look like a dangerous or problematic person. Act 1. The quote-unquote grooming. Around March of 2020, I did some stuff I was not proud of. At the time, I was dealing with hypersexuality, which is one of the causes of the events in the segment. In the Google Docs and callouts others have made, I have been called 3 things: a groomer, a sexual abuser, and a sexual harasser. I also said I was using hypersexuality as an excuse to get away with this sort of behavior. First of all, I am not any of the terms listed. I am not a groomer because if I don't know anything about feelings or sex life or my own sexuality, how is it possible for me to be a groomer? In the previous video I made, I also said that I can't be a groomer because of my age range. Apparently, to my knowledge, you can be a groomer as young as 8 years old. So I'm going to not include that part on the reason why I cannot be a groomer. However, my 1 point still stands. I also cannot be a sexual harasser or a sexual abuser, given that I do not force people to engage in sexual activity for my benefit. However, I did once pester someone to send me some inappropriate images. This was around the time where my hypersexuality was at its worst. So I had little control of what I could do or say. Keep in mind, I am not saying that I am innocent at all. I do take responsibility that I did in fact make mistakes back in 2020. I have never said once throughout any of the apologies or videos that I am not guilty of the actions. I did do them. However, the things mentioned were significantly changed in the callouts to make me look worse than I actually am. To reference, people have said that I have forced someone to engage in an ERP with me. An ERP is an erotic roleplay, which basically means a roleplay that involves sexual activity. What actually happened was that I did not force someone to do that with me. I asked for consent to do it. I would never make someone do something they didn't want to do. If I did that, then that would be considered harassment and abuse. If they didn't give consent, then I wouldn't do it. Period. If someone ever felt uncomfortable during these, they should have spoken up and told me. Even when I used to be stupid last year, I still had a bit of common sense. And I was, and still am, an understanding person. Moving on from this point, this is the last time I'm going to mention this. Ever since the month of October of last year, I have changed significantly. I do not have any issues with extreme hypersexuality or asking for images anymore. I promise on my life that I'm telling the truth about that. We are going to head over to the next segment now, as I have run out of time and explained everything I could in this one. Act 2. Quote-unquote racism. Before I start off this portion, many people in the comments of the previous video have mocked me for this specific segment, bringing up the part where I said I had black friends and how I found the fake N-word funny. I now realize that I didn't really explain this part in depth well enough. This time, I will try to explain to the best of my ability, and prove to you all that I am not some racist scumbag. Speaking of comments, I have to turn them off this time, because every time I look at them, I act like a pussy, and can't find myself actually responding or reading them all. It's also because people aren't taking this stuff seriously, so please do this time. Anyways, let's start this. Around July of 2020, I used to have a friend server or group where me and some friends hung out a lot. The friend group consisted of me, my old friend Evan, my old friend Cross, and a few others. The others will remain anonymous for safety reasons. The reason why 2 of them are named is because they are both important to this whole issue to begin with. One day, Evan decided to start saying what I call the fake N-word, which is basically the same as the actual one, except the I is replaced with a lowercase I. This doesn't matter that much, as it is still somewhat the N-word, but it still helps my case a little bit in all of this. Anyways, he said the fake N-word in the server and began repeating it. The people in the server found it funny. I'm not just saying that I was the only one who found it funny, however. Many looked over that and just assumed that I started it all and that I was the one who found it funny. I wasn't, though. Everyone in the group found it funny. What happened was me, my old friend Cross, and if I recall correctly, another person joined in with Evan. We all kept repeating the word until it got out of hand one day, so we stopped and never picked back up on it. During these times, I used to play around with my friends and jokingly ban or mute them in the server. All of it was completely harmless, and I didn't intend to come off as an asshole. But one time, it went a bit too far. You see, what happened was I muted Evan one day on the server as a joke. After I did, he came into my DMs and started yelling at me for muting him. I just ignored it really and just watched my DMs get filled up. When I checked them again, I actually fucking gasped at what I saw. He literally spammed the fucking hard R version of the N-word just because I muted him? It was over a joke and he was overreacting. At the time, I thought he was white and he drew himself and stuff as a white person. So I started to assume that he was actually racist. I would never fucking say the hard N-word, even in the context of the fake N-word shit. That is actually fucking racist. Also, in October 2020, Evan revealed he was actually black, which kind of changed everything in this whole situation. I thought the whole time he was white because of how he literally drew himself as a white person many times. But even if he is black, it's not okay just to spam the hard N-word in my DMs, regardless of what skin color he is. It is both racist and just bullying, but it's not really that racist, but it's still bullying. And it's all over me muting him in my server. Getting back to the Cross guy, though, he said it the most out of everyone in the server. In addition to that, he told his other friends that he only did it to, quote-unquote, impress me. Impress me? I'm sorry, how is saying the N-word going to impress anyone? Anyways, if you're gonna call me racist, you should call Cross Evan, whose username is Sveen now, and everyone else in the friend group racist too. They found it funny and participated in it. In the previous video, I mentioned camp entries and art that I made that people could find racist. However, it doesn't really matter that much anymore, and I honestly don't think it belongs in this video as much as this stuff. The trans race thing was also a terrible joke that went a little too far. Everything mentioned in this segment was a bad joke that went too far. I'm not like this anymore, and word humor isn't even funny. I don't know why I found it funny in the first place. Now we've reached the point where I prove that I am not a racist. If I was as racist as many claim, you know who you are, why would I have black friends? Why would I have dated a black person? Why would I have stood by Joe Biden instead of Donald Trump? If I was racist, I would have been on Trump's side. If I am quote-unquote racist, why did I help out black people in real life? Why would I also constantly retweet petitions regarding black people? Why would I say Black Lives Matter if I didn't really mean it? To pretend that I'm not racist? Why the fuck would anyone do that? Why would I stand by their side in fighting for equality? Why can't people just accept everyone in this world? It doesn't matter what skin color or race you are. You're still an amazing person on the inside, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, or any other race. You are still a human, and we are all one and the same. If I was racist, I would have said none of the stuff I just said, and I would have continued to do the N-word things up until now. But that's not the case. That hasn't happened, and it never will. Why? I'm not a racist person. I care about everyone, regardless of their race. No matter what race you are, I love you. Unless you're a problematic person, then go to hell. Everyone, don't let people bring you down just because of what you look like. You're beautiful and amazing just the way you are. Who cares about these racist scumbags? They're just nobodies that don't have a life. They're not cool like you are. We've reached the epilogue, and the end of the video. This is the final time I'm making this sort of video. I am never coming back to the Arbitrary Show community, nor am I ever rejoining it. I made this video not to persuade people to like me again. I made this to show people that I am not a bad person like how the doc writers and the call-out writer painted me to be. This was all meant to explain the true side of the story, my perspective of what actually happened. This is not meant to attack anyone or anything, but listen. You can't just go on to believe the first thing you see that comes up about a person. There's always two sides to each story. If you just believe one side for the rest of your life, you'll never know the actual truth of the matter. You need to hear both sides of an argument before giving a true opinion. This part is directly to the people who made the call-out post. You didn't have to call me out again. You should have sent someone to tell me directly to leave the OC. And since I am actually understanding, I most likely would have complied. Here's a tip for the next time you have to write a Google Doc or a call-out post. You should at least decide to go to the person you're making the post about to try to get information from them instead of going directly to the call-out. You never know. It could be misinformation given by another person. The person in question could be innocent or could be guilty. But you would never figure it out unless you speak with them directly about the topic. I'm Johnson Studios signing off for most likely the last time. Sorry if this video is too long. I really try to make it shorter than the previous one so it could be more understandable. Anyways, here's the final thing I need you to do. If you believe what I told you all, that you believe that most of this stuff is a little exaggerated, press the like button. If you still side with the original doc writers and such, press the dislike button. However, before you do, take a minute or two to actually think about this. Please. It would make me at least a little happy, to be completely honest. I'm not trying to manipulate anyone by trying to believe me and stuff like that, but please, take a few minutes to make a final opinion or thought about all of this and try to think if it makes sense. Once you figure out your final decision, choose the like or dislike button. Believe or not believe. I don't think it'll make another video about this, so this is the final decision you have to make. Remember, the like button is if you believe me, the dislike button is if you do not. I tried to make this video well organized this time so you guys can actually give it a thought. Do what your heart desires, follow the path you trust. To everyone that has supported me and has stopped, I'm sorry. To everyone that hates me, I'm sorry. To everyone that had been the people I may have harmed, I'm sorry. To everyone that trusted me and was a friend to me, I'm sorry. And just to everyone, I'm sorry. This is the end. I'm not coming back to the OC after this. I'll be off YouTube and I'll come back by the end of this year. But not to this channel. Somewhere where I can branch off and do other things and forget about everything that's happened. Anyways, goodbye. Like or dislike, believe or not believe.